Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tawana Rivers. This is the 10K Project, and we are here this evening to love on another Black founder for another week. And so we thank you all for joining us. To anyone watching us for the very first time, please go to our website, the10kproject.com, and you are in for a treat to seeing all the amazing things we do, from education to wealth building, and more importantly, raising capital for Black founders. So thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you to our community members for coming back again this week so that we can love on another Black founder together. Tonight, I want to introduce you to Mr. James Parker, the founder of 1921 Incubator and the Date Night app, which I'm super, super excited about. Wait till y'all hear about this app, y'all. Wait till you hear about it. James, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk to the community. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. Typically, the community is used to me going to a campaign page.
Sure.
We'll talk a little bit about the fact that you're not on a portal, but you do have a site that you'll drop so that we all have a place to go. But tell us about you, how you got started, how 1921 was thought of and founded and now executed. And then, I want to hear all about Date Night app.
I love it. Well, first of all, thank you very much. Definitely blessings. I feel the love and encouragement, and so I am very encouraged. To be here. So my name is James Parker. My father was in the Army, and my mother worked for the government, so I'm a military brat. So I was born in Fairbanks, Alaska. I grew up mostly in Minnesota and Germany. Ja, sprechen Sie ein bisschen Deutsch.
Okay.
And moved to Chicago to go to school. Met my incredible wife, and we've been married for 27 years. Have three incredible children. I'll get to them in a minute. But my parents were investors. They're very, very successful financially now. And I learned from that, sitting at the table with my dad, going over the stocks back in the early 80s that he owned. And that's really what got my mind in investing. I was very fortunate to go to one of the top schools in Minnesota. I learned how to code in the eighth grade in 1980 something. I won't give my age here. But when most schools didn't even have big computers, I was sitting in front of a computer all the time. So I was fascinated by it. And so I wrote my first code when I was 14, and I made a stick figure walk across the screen. And I thought that was the most incredible thing in the world. And it was great being able to learn that. And I took that with me. I ended up graduated from high school in Germany, moved here to go to school, went to Loyola University, ended up working for a software company. And then I got bit by the Save the World bug and decided to go in a nonprofit. And my wife and I became youth ministers at our church. The pastor thought, you guys are great with the kids. So that was kind of my foray into servitude, if you will. Got out of that and then worked for nonprofits. And fast forward, I always wanted to continue to do something in tech. But one of the things I learned was growing up with my mom and dad and having a pretty privileged life and everything. I moved to Chicago and saw that I thought everyone grew up like I did, right? Just my naivete. And then I found out that no, there were a lot of things that I didn't know that I wasn't exposed to living in Minnesota and Germany. And after that, I made a decision at 18 when I saw these things that whatever I can do, whenever I get a chance, I want to have an impact in this city in Chicago, but not just in the Chicago, in the world. Fast forward, I teach entrepreneurship at a nonprofit, and I decided, how can I do more for the community, but also involve tech? So in 2020, I sold all of my Bitcoin because I've been investing, following my dad. And I bought a 12,000 square foot building for $85,000 cash. That building today is worth over $1 million now, 1,063,000. And in that was birthed 1921 Coworking Incubator. So what is 1921? 1921 is named to honor the historic Black Wall Street, an incredible time in the United States of America's history. As many of you know, Black Wall Street was the accumulation of a group of people who had money and came together to build something for Black people. And it was over 600 Black-owned businesses, a thriving community, hotels. Many of them owned airplanes. Many of them traveled throughout Europe. This was in the 20s. And many were millionaires by today's standards. As you know, in 1921, in May, it was nearly completely destroyed by a white mob who was angry and mad that, wait, y'all not supposed to be able to do that. But what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the businesses stayed and a lot of the businesses opened back up. Even while buildings were smoldering around them, they opened back up to serve the community. And 1921 is named to honor the resiliency of not only just those Black businesses, but small businesses and startups in general, because it is so difficult and it is so hard. And so that birthed 1921. And as a co-working space, we have offices and we're adding a virtual mail hub so that entrepreneurs can now get a business address, access to offices to really get a chance to grow their business. And our tech incubator launches tech startups. And that's what I'm excited to talk about today.
Wonderful. Very, very good. Thank you so very much for that. Whenever you're ready, you can start
Okay.
your presentation slides and take us through the journey.
All right. Now, okay, I'm about to say, now, where did this thing go? We just looked at it. All right, here we go. Um, okay. All right, no problem. Let's see here. Just close this out real quick. Sorry about that, folks. I literally just had this thing open. All right, here we go. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, again, my name is James Parker. I'm super excited to get a chance to share this opportunity that we've created. I'm the CEO and founder of 1921 Coworking, Coworking and Incubator, not for NFP, which is our not-for-profit, and this is our funding proposal. Now, here's a brief executive summary points that I want to get a chance to cover. Part of 1921's initiative is to help raise our final round of about 200K to complete the launch of our startups. As a tech incubator, we train, fund, and launch minority and women-owned tech startups. We launch these tech startups in the community. So unlike tech startups that may launch in your downtown or in the tech hub, we launch our tech startups in low-income and emerging communities, and then we train individuals in that community so they can now work for a tech startup. So there's a few positions that are pretty much amicable across the board. That's tech support, help desk, cybersecurity. Every tech startup needs all of that, and customer service. We have a training program that trains individuals from the community who qualify, meaning those who have a desire to want to learn. Okay. We then allow them to be placed in these positions that start anywhere from 40 to 55,000 a year. So if you can imagine low-income communities in your city, imagine 100 residents making 55,000 a year, what that does to the community, but it also what that does for the individual. The goal is to create thousands of high-paying jobs in the community. As a tech incubator, we're also a manufacturing incubator, so we're able to provide manufacturing careers for returning citizens. Well, manufacturing, as you know, back in the day, automotive and things like that are gone. Now everything is almost 3D printed. So we have a program to launch manufacturing startups in which we work with individuals who are returning, where we work in Safeway houses or returning citizens in those homes, and they get a 6-week paid training in manufacturing on 3D printers. Because we are the tech incubator, we know when a tech startup is going to launch, especially in manufacturing. So we're able to now train individuals for that particular job, meaning once that product launches, those individuals are now moving from that halfway house to a job making 55, 60,000 a year. That helps end recidivism right there, because they're making more than a living wage, and it's based on the city that they live in. We set aside an equity stake in each startup for community investments, and what that means is when we launch a company, we take 1% equity from that company, and that goes right back to the community. So whatever city it's in, we put that money back into the community. So a quick note: Facebook. Let's see here. Facebook is made over, gosh, what was it? It was like 1 point whatever trillion dollars in revenue. 1% of that was like $100 million. Imagine if Facebook said, "Hey, you know what? We noticed that we have a lot of African Americans on our platform, and we're going to set aside 1% equity in Facebook to go back to the community." Imagine what communities could do with $100 million. That's a lot. But Facebook doesn't do that, right? It's not their thing. But that's 1921 Incubator's thing. Our thing is to give back to the community. by setting aside equity in every startup we launch to go back to the community. And then we also, part of our, and I'll get to that in a moment, is we set aside a 1% equity stake in every startup launched from 1921 Incubator. So again, a little bit about me. I kind of shared it in the intro. I was born in Fairbanks, grew up in Germany and Europe, and I take a more global approach to moving low-income communities forward because I've had a chance to live in different countries, in different states, and see different things. We're Black Wall Street, as I shared, named to honor the historic Black Wall Street. And our goal is to be a bridge to economic wealth and economic growth in the community. And although I'm a tech entrepreneur, I have more than 2 decades of nonprofit and social service work and experience. So I see 1921 as a combination of both tech and social services when moving the community forward. Now, what is 1921? So, as I shared, we're a co-working space and a tech and manufacturing incubator. So this is one of our offices, this blue panel wall. Isn't that beautiful? All right, we didn't just put together a desk and a chair. No, we want people from the community, entrepreneurs, to come in and feel like, wow, this is the kind of office I would love in my house, right? We wanted them to feel like this is for me. They built this for us. Absolutely. We put in the work, we put in the money. I mean, we wanted people to feel like there was nothing spared so that they would feel like this was for their community. You can look at WeWork, Convene, they don't have any offices like this at all. All right. This is top tier, and this is in our community. We also provide what we have a young tech program. And what that is it's introducing young people to manufacturing, tech engineering. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to play in the NBA. But hey, why don't you go ahead and get a degree in engineering and get a degree in this while you're wanting to be in the NBA, all right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to do that, but hey, learn a little something on the side that you can go and grab a job. This is a couple companies using our office now, and as an incubator, we launch tech startups. Now, what is a tech incubator? I want to kind of go back so people understand what it is that we do. So a tech incubator or technology business incubator, TBI, is a program that helps early stage startups that use technology and or manufacturing, in our case, as their main means of innovation. TBIs provide a range of services to help startups grow and gain traction in the market, including office space. We do the same thing. Administrative, meaning we have the virtual mail service. Business planning, we work with individual startups coming in. Product development, obviously prototyping, networking, mentoring, and more. Some TBIs operate as nonprofit organizations like we do, and we help provide seed capital and support in exchange for equity in those companies. So anytime a company comes to us, so Tawana says, James, I got a great app idea. It's going to blow you away. All right. We look for a couple things. We look to see if it's viable, right? Meaning, will it make money? The second thing we look for is how many jobs will it create in the community? Those are the main things we look for. And then if you've seen Shark Tank, we then sit down with Tawana and we figure out how much money she needs. And then we negotiate how much equity we can get in that company. Okay. And that's what VCs look to tech incubators to find the next big thing to invest in to do what? Get equity. Okay. So I listed a couple of the big ones. So why Incubator? You've heard of Airbnb, right? Okay. So why Incubator launched Airbnb? AngelPad launched Postmates. Okay. So back in the day, you can get your food through Postmates. Well, Uber bought Postmates for $2.65 billion. So that was a pretty good launch for AngelPad, right? 1871, which is located in Chicago, they're the world's #1 small business tech incubator. Side note, we'll be partnering with them very, very soon. Just thought I'd let you know that, which will give us a global presence because they're global. They've launched over 650 startups in 12 years. And if you guys are familiar with Cameo, Cameo is where, you can get Snoop Dogg to wish your grandmother happy birthday, right? So Cameo was launched out of 1871. So that's what a tech incubator does. They get these cool ideas that start with just an idea, and then they help them, all the stuff they do here that we're going to be doing, and then they get them launched. VCs look to them, again, to invest in them, but they can't invest in all of them. They don't have, they got money, but they don't have enough money to put money in every single one. And that's what makes 1921 different. With 1921 Incubator, when you become an equity donor stakeholder in 1921, you get a shared equity stake in every startup we launch off one investment. You don't have to keep investing every time we launch a new one. By investing in 1921's incubator, you get a shared equity stake in every startup. So just like VCs look to tech incubators for an opportunity to find the next big thing and invest, 1921 Incubator is uniquely designed to give a limited number of individuals the opportunity to gain a shared equity stake in every tech and manufacturing startup launched from 1921. We have set aside 1% shared equity stake in each startup, which I just said. We have 300 stakeholder positions, or 271 now. So as of this month, we have 271. The minimum investment is only $500. Because 1921 Incubator NFP is a not-for-profit corp, you will receive a contemporaneous written acknowledgement of a charitable gift of anything over $250. So that means that, and there's a reason why a lot of these tech incubators are nonprofits, because the people making the investment are donations. They're able to write those off. So at the end of the year, you're able to write off your donation. So imagine you make an investment, you write it off at the end of the year, and you still retain equity in these tech startups. That's why a lot of these tech, like 1871, all of them are nonprofits. Okay. Some quick financial projections. Let me move my box here. So don't want to lose Tawana's face there. Just got to move it. So here's some of the projections that we're doing. By the end of fiscal year 2025, our goal is to launch at least 35 startups. Projected gross profit will be about $1.2 billion from those 35. Now, this is a very, very conservative number. When I talk about our first app that we developed, you'll see this is very conservative. But at 1% shared equity or dividend, this is on projected growth. So it isn't net, right? We don't know the staff and the tax. This is kind of give you an idea with the gross. But at 1.2 billion in revenue, 1% of that is 12 million. That means that if we fill all 300 stakeholder positions, that's a $40,000 dividend payout from those 35 tech startups. So that's how that works. That's if you make one investment. Okay. Let's say you're like, James, you know what? I need 5. Okay. I need 5. I need 5 stakeholder positions. Well, then you take 40 times 5. And that's your dividend payout. The reason we have it limited is because my goal is to make 300 millionaires. And the reason I want to make 300 millionaires is because I love the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. The thing is, in our community, we need a lot of rising tides. We need waves, okay? We need waves. We don't need tide. We need waves to come through our community. And the best way to do that is to find people who, A, are concerned about the community, and then when they have the money, they're willing to give back, okay? I know this is going to be recorded, so I won't say everything, but let's just say there's people out there who could but don't, and who can but won't. And so we need to be the people that if I make you $1 million, Tawana, I want you at the end of the year to say, I got 100K, I'm going to find a nonprofit, I'm going to become their angel. Now, why are you going to do that? Because the following year, because you own equity in those companies, as long as they're making money, you're going to get another dividend payout out of all of them. So it becomes this perpetual dividend payout, which means the more I give, the more I'm getting back. Okay. Fiscal year 26, 35 more startups, projected gross revenue is about 2 billion. We factored in, all kind of different things, but that's a 20 million. 1% of 2 billion is 20 million. That gives our dividend payout, our equity stakeholders, a $66,000 dividend payout each. So if you were to invest 5 stakeholder positions, you would just multiply 66 times 5. And that's pretty much how we did it. Okay, so that's why, and we have one of our, I don't have him on the thing, but I did an interview on NPR radio, and I shared about this, and I'll share that link with you, Tawana, to share with the group about 1921 and how it works. And there was a doctor who was driving, and he heard, it was a 20-minute interview. He heard it, reached out to the website. Very nice guy, Pakistani American. He said, I love what you're doing. I'm an investor. I've invested in different companies. I know that it's a 1% shared equity. I want my own 1%. And he wrote me a check. We met, we went over everything, and he wrote a check for $100,000 because not only did he like the investment opportunity, but he liked the fact that we were giving back to the community because he recognized what he was dealing with in their country before his parents immigrated over. And he loved the fact that he goes, you're the first company I've ever known to literally give back to the community that way. And I believe that when you give back more than you thought. Oops. Okay. Oh, I guess I got to move you back up here, Tawana. All right. All right. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, no. Now, Here's some upcoming launches that we have right now. Now, remember, you get a shared equity stake in every startup we launch. So I'm giving you guys a little preview of some of the companies. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have plans to launch more than 350 startups over the next decade and beyond. Now, remember, 1871, they did 650. Okay, now a little bigger than we are, so we felt 350. We can do that. We can work 350. We currently have 10 startups in our pipeline, including an app called Viability. It's an AI app we're developing that tests the viability of a business idea and gives a viability score for that idea. We met with, I probably can't say their names, but we met with some big banks and smaller banks as well as some VCs, and they said they would consider having people add a viability score to their business plan before they may give them investments. So you can imagine a bank saying, "Oh, this is great. Your business plan looks great. What's your viability score?" We charge it's $79. You get a viability score, and it lets you know where your company is at. So there's about 200,000 businesses that are started every month. So you figure 200,000 times 79, that's not bad. Okay. So that's viability. We're excited about that one. Tabled is a subscription-based home goods app. Uh, I can't tell you the celebrity. Okay, anyway, I can't say that right yet. But let's say we're working with a couple of celebrities who want to get into the home decor. And yeah, Meet at Six is a new and safer way for singles to meet and fall in love. So we're very excited about that. And Best Date Night, which is the very first app developed for couples to have incredible date nights. And I will get to that in a moment. I've been very fortunate to be in the media. I was on gospel radio station AM 1390. The picture there with my Best Date Night gear on. I've been on WVON, Daytime Chicago, which is a very popular TV show in WGN in Chicago, WGN. I've been on the Maze Jackson show. He's a political guy. My greatest interview so far was WBEZ. That's NPR's affiliate. That's where the gentleman heard my interview, and I'll send that link to you. That was a huge interview. And then Daytime Chicago loves me. I'm excited. They have me on twice. All right. And they were like, anytime we're launching a new app, I'm invited back on. So we've been all over the media. And this is just a little bit of what we've done. Here's some of our 1921 stakeholders right here. These are people who saw it, believed in the vision. This beautiful group of people right here in the middle that look like kids, those are my babies. They One of the things that my parents stressed to me and my brothers was generational wealth. They have set us up for generational wealth. Now I'm in a position where I've just set my children up. They are all equity stakeholders in 1921 Incubator. Our daughter in the middle, she has her master's. She's done with school. She can't wait to get her dividend payout to be a travel blogger. All right. She told me that. I can't wait to quit my job and be a travel blogger. I said, okay, you got your master's. We're happy. Our middle son, Cameron, is a computer science guy. He's actually going to be working for 1921, helping us develop things. And then our youngest son, Connor, with all the bushy hair, we just sent him off to college. He wants to be a math teacher. So he'll graduate from college, probably $250,000 to $400,000 in the bank and no debt. This is why generational wealth is so important in our communities. And I'm super excited that 1921 is able to create that, because the beauty of dividends is that it's perpetual, it's ongoing. If they did a study on how long generational wealth lasts, generational wealth lasts 1 to 2 generations. That's it. We got this mindset, oh, generational wealth, my grandbaby, it doesn't work. It literally doesn't work that way. And the main reason is because most of that wealth is tied up in assets. And in order for you to get the money from the assets, you have to sell the actual asset. Well, once the next generation sells that asset, which may be a home or a building, that money is either gone or in the bank. But by the time their generation comes, there's no more money. And they'd have to start all over. The beauty of, and why you see a lot of people who are wealthy in VCs, is they get dividend payouts. You can't sell the dividend. What I mean? You can't. It's there. The only time they're not getting the dividend payouts, and this is also crucial to know, is that, let's say Tabled, one of our apps, gets acquired by Home Goods. Well, guess what? As an equity stakeholder, you own equity in that company. So if we sell Tabled for $2 billion, yeah, you own some of that. You get your cut from that sale. And that's why ownership and equity is so important. If you ever watch Shark Tank, they want to know what the business does, how much money do you need? And then they want to know how much equity can they get in that company. That's why it's so important if you're able to get into a company before they launch or go public to get equity. And that's what 1921 has created. As I said, I'm very excited because the very first app developed by 1921 is an app called Best Date Night. So Best Date Night is the very first app to create date nights for couples. You're like, wait, what? No, there isn't. We are the first, okay? There's different apps out there that give you ideas, but we're the first that create the date nights, okay? Now, Best Date Night is a subscription-based app that allows couples the opportunity to simply choose a date night that they like to attend. They pay a monthly subscription of about $99 and they get 2 date nights a month. Now, the cool thing is the date nights are already set up. Like you don't have to plan anything. You just download matter of fact, the only thing you have to plan is which one you want to go on. But the beauty of that is it gets couples, when we ran several beta tests, we had couples who said it was cool. We just tried a date night that we probably wouldn't have never tried because it was already paid for. And that's what we want. The goal with Best Date Night is we strengthen marriages and relationships, and they're having a good time. And Best Date Night is making some money. Okay. So when a member chooses a date night, they're able to find out relevant information about that date, right? So like the movie date night, they can watch the previews on here. They know where it's located. When they RSVP, they know how many slots are available. Once that date night slot fills up, date night closes. Okay. We also added a restaurant directory. So each city we launch in will have its own restaurant directory. So restaurants pay us to have their logo listed and a link to their open table link. Okay, so all we do is we put in the logo, put in a little information about that. So people can now try different restaurants that they normally wouldn't have may not have found or even known. And we have award-winning restaurants to hole in the wall places. Like if you ever come to Chicago, you got to go to Mr. J's Dog and Burger. Okay, that sounds like a hole in the wall, but that cheeseburger is so good. All right. That was a sidebar. We also offer couples advice. So Best Date Night isn't just for date nights. It's all about a holistic approach to helping relationships get stronger. So we added a couples advice and tips page in the app. So we get writers from all over. We have Christian writers for a Christian perspective on relationship. We have relationship experts with kids. I mean, you name it, we're adding different advice columns in that. We also have what's really cool called the Dream Date Night. When you become a member, you're able to submit your dream date night. All right. And I know hopefully I don't lose my man card here, but Pretty Woman was like one of my favorite movies, right? Okay. And there's a scene in there where Richard Gere takes Julia Roberts' character and they go on a date night. They get on a plane to go to the date night. Okay. And I remember when I was putting this together, like, wouldn't it be cool if you had 24 hours in the day for a date night? What would you do? And the most outlandish one we got was someone wanted to go to Paris for lunch. And so I talked to my event. I said, hey, can we do Paris in a day? And they figured it out. So we may give that one away just to get on the news, right? And so basically, they would literally fly to Paris one way. They'd get an Uber downtown to the Eiffel Tower. I was in Paris a few years ago. Have lunch, buy some stuff, back in an Uber, back to the airport, and back to the United States of America. So we may actually do that just because, so that we can get on the news. We also added a black card directory. So let's say you want to go on a date night, haven't been on a date night in a while, we messed up. I got the app. Hey, we're going to do this big. We're going to rent a black car. Okay, so that's in there as well. One of our key partnerships is with a company called Sitter City. So Sitter City is the largest a digital platform for finding a babysitter. When we approached them, they were like, are you kidding me? Yes, we want to partner with you. And so it's really great because Sitter City will share with their database Best Date Night, and then in return, we share Sitter City on our app. So very excited about that. That was a very important partnership we wanted to get. So that's a little bit about Best Date Night. So Best Date Night has 3 revenue streams: our membership, our directories, and our ad sponsorship. To put it to you like this, just the director of restaurants alone, every, I think it's 500 or 600 restaurants, like Illinois has 7,000 restaurants. Every 500, we make about $500,000 a year. We make about $500,000. So that's just from the restaurant directory. Our membership makes up 90% of that, and then ads and sponsorships. So we have a number of car dealerships that want to, whenever we have like a big event, they want their cars parked out front, right? So this was sponsored by BMW. So that's more money that comes into best date night. So our projected revenue, there are 2.3 million married couples in Chicago. Okay, 2.3 million. If best date night garnered 0.4, so not even a full percent, not even a half a percent, 0.4, we would generate roughly $1 million a month in revenue. Okay, that means that in 10 cities, we're bringing about 250 million a year. Once we get to 20 cities, that's $500 million a year. And if we just garnered 0.4% in each city that we went into. Now, the best date night equity donor. So what we did was we set aside about 1,000 stakeholder positions. And again, as a nonprofit, it's literally, you're able to write that off. Okay. The minimum investment for best date night is $250. And we set aside 2% equity shared amongst you. So unlike shares that you could have as many as 400 million when a company goes public, we're setting aside a very limited amount of equity stakeholder positions. So not shares, equity. Remember, we don't even want shares. Shares you don't make any money from, okay? If you got shares in a company, that's awesome. But unless you bought those shares, 50 years ago, and that company continued to grow, you're not going to do a lot. For instance, if you were to invest $250 in Facebook, yeah, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, all right, so, and this is why it's so hard to make money with shares. Facebook, when they went public, they offered more than 421 million shares. Okay? Well, I mean, how are you gonna make any money? There's 421 million of the shares. Because when a company goes public, they're going public for two reasons. They're either going to sell the company or they need to raise more money. So when they're raising more money, do you honestly believe they're trying to make sure you get a good return? No, they're trying to raise as much money as possible. 421 million shares, you're not going to get a huge return. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Your return on investment. So let's say we hit that gross $250 million. Okay. 10 cities. 2% of that is $5 million. At 2%, divided by 1,000 is $5,000. So your dividend payout would be, again, this is project on gross revenue. Okay. The idea is to give you an idea of what the numbers look like and what dividends look like. You're looking at a $5,000 dividend payout. All right. So if we only made $250 million every year, year in, year over year in, that's a $5,000 if you were to invest in one stakeholder position, it's $5,000 off of $250. That means over 5 years, you would have made $25,000 return off your $250 investment. But like most people, they're like, give me 5, give me 7, give me whatever, because they're looking at the dividend payout. Now, here's where when I talk about shares and why shares are good, but if you can get equity, it's better. So if you invested that same $250 in Facebook in 2012, when they went public, you'd have about 6.5 shares, which would only give you about $2,850 today. So over that 12-year period, now obviously it fluctuates. When I did this maybe about 3 months ago, okay? So in a 12-year period, that $250 in shares would get you $2,850 today. I mean, not bad. I mean, it's $250. I mean, whatever, right? But 1 year getting equity in a company gets you almost double that when you have equity in the company. That's the difference between equity and getting shares in the company. The thing is, 99% of the world can get shares, but about 1% can get equity in the company. That's the reason, right? All we did was we flipped it. All right. We made it where the 99%, actually 100%, because the VCs, the big guys, like the guy who wrote a check, thank you very much, can get equity as well. But we flipped it. Why? It goes back to 1921 Incubator's mission. A rising tide lifts all boats. I'm trying to make as many Black millionaires as possible, people who want to give back to the community, okay? You're going to get yours, go on that vacation, but please, please remember the community, okay? Now, here's an interesting thing. If you had 1% equity in Facebook, so let's say you were like the 5th roommate and you were running back to that meeting because you had a final and you're like, Mark, I only got $250, man. And he says, all right, you're my guy. That 1% today will be worth over $7 billion if you own 1% equity in Facebook. This is why equity is so important. Now, here's some future launch cities as I wrap up here. Best Date Night will launch in Chicago first, which we've already done a beta launch. The reason we're raising the capital is to do a greater launch and launch in other cities. Other first markets will include the Midwest and Detroit, Milwaukee, and Indianapolis, mostly because they're just a few hours away and we can kind of monitor it and keep an eye on it. Second tier markets will include Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. The beauty of that is it's like one state, four major cities, a few hours apart. So then Orlando, which is a huge touristy town, obviously, but there's a lot of locals that live there. Everybody's looking for a date night. Imagine you go to Orlando, and you're like, hey, let's go on a date. You download the app, pick Orlando, and boom, you're on a date night. So that means that you're able to take date nights all over the country, actually all over the world in a moment. Tampa, Phoenix, and San Diego. Our first international markets will include Toronto, the UK, Sydney, and my favorite, Paris. Okay, so you could literally go on vacation in Paris, download the app, and go on a date night in Paris. And I was inspired when I went to Paris and I got my Uber and I said, this is what it's about. I'm in Paris using Uber that was launched in the United States of America. And I said, I can't wait to do that. And now here we are 4 years later with the best date night app about to launch in the UK as well. The total number of married couples in Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Indiana, Texas, Arizona, California, and Florida is over 64.5 million married couples. So that's not including dating, right? That's not including engaged. This is just straight married couples. If Best Date Night were to garner just 1% of in all those states, we would have projected monthly revenues of about $63.8 million, or nearly over $750 million annually. Just so you know, once a company before it gets acquired, the company that wants to acquire them typically looks 5 years out, right? Projected revenue 5 years out. Once we get to 250 million in revenue, we've got $1 billion company. That means that before they step to us, all right, little 1990s swag, lingo. Before a company comes to us to be acquired, their starting point is $1 billion. Why is that? Because we're already bringing in $250 million a year already. That means in a year we'll be around $500 million. So they have to pay us enough to walk away. Okay, so that's why we're trying to get to 10 cities, because we know that gives us $250 million in revenue and $1 billion valuation. Best Date Night on demand. That's what we call it. So you've got rideshare on demand, you've got movies on demand, and now you've got date nights on demand. So this is a huge market for married couples in the area of date nights. In every business, the key is speed to market. And that's why we're raising the capital now. And that's why we're so excited to be able to present to you now and own the largest market share. Right now, we own the sole market share in this area. We already know that once we launch and it gets going, other apps are going to come along. But guess what people are going to say? Oh, you're like Best Date Night. That's why we're raising the capital now to be the very first. We are the first, but now we need the market share the first. All right. Best Date Night will be the first app to tap a market and create a multi-million-dollar company by simply giving couples the opportunity to have a date night. And advertisers want to advertise on our app because why? Typically, when you have married couples, there's dual income, which means what? The advertisers are thinking that's more money. So we are already in a position to have a huge revenue stream just from ads. Quick, frequently asked questions. When does the stakeholder opportunity end? It ends once we fill all the stakeholder positions, or we've already launched and we've made the money that we've wanted to make where we no longer need investors. Okay. Can I invest in more? Absolutely. If you invest more, you receive multiple dividend payouts. Exactly. So obviously, the more you invest, the greater your return, right? And if we're sold, guess what? You own 2% of that. You own 2% equity in Best Date Night with the other stakeholders. So right now, the main company that would probably buy us would be the company called Match Group. So Match Group owns Match.com. They own Black People Meet. They own OkCupid. They own a bunch of them. I think their revenues last year was like $4 billion. So if we were to be acquired by them, they would make their money back in like 6 months. Why? Because they have a database of everyone who's met on their app, right? They don't make any money when two single people meet because those two single people don't need the app anymore. So what we've done is we've created what's called a feeder app, meaning when single people meet on Best Date Night, eHarmony, plenty of fish and all that stuff, guess where they get to go? Best date night. So we believe with that build out, what we've created, Match.com would be like, we got to buy them. So Match will feel like, not only do we make money off single people, but now we make money off married people. And we're like, yes, please, $2 billion, it's yours. Okay. That means that now, remember, we give 1% equity back to the community. So 1% of $2 billion is $200 million. That's $200 million going back to communities. So think about your community or a low-income community and just think, what could we do with $200 million? Or we go to 10 cities, that's $20 million. Those are mathnasiums in the community, reading companies that help our kids read. Math, you got single moms working 2 jobs. They don't have time to raise their kids. But man, if there's a math tutoring that's free for them, or reading one, and now our kids are getting what, a lot of our privileged kids got, right? And what we got growing up. That's how we have to think. That's how I think. And I'm so grateful that I shared that on that NPR radio, because that's what caught his attention. Obviously being able to invest, but the fact that we're doing this for the community. Again, I've been on WGN. They love me. I love them. Okay. When we did this, when Best Date Night was featured on WGN's Daytime Chicago, it was the first time a tech startup announced its launch on a national television show in Chicago. So we've got a few firsts that we're very excited about. And so, quick question: what did you spend $250 on last month or last year that gave you a great financial return on that $250? Hopefully, it was nothing. So you invest in us. But that's the media is there, and we're actually working it out with WGN, where we're going to have the Best Date Night Minute. So every Wednesday, we have one of our spokesperson will come on and say, hey, these are the upcoming date nights. Download the Best Date Night app. So we're about to do stuff all over. And wait till the celebrity stuff that we're going to be working with anyway. So here's some of our Best Date Night stakeholders. So we don't have 1,000 anymore, obviously. But these are some. Yeah, I made my son a stakeholder. But these are just some of the people who get it and are ready to make it happen. And I thank you. We're excited to offer this opportunity and hope that you will join the crowd and become an equity donor stakeholder in the Best Date Night app or in 1921. Obviously, if you invest in 1921, you automatically have equity in Best Date Night. But just in case, I know you share this, in case we fill up, I'm doing another pitch that in case we fill up 1921, Best Date Night will be available. And every app that we launch, would love to come back and do it again. For everyone who couldn't get in 1921. If you're eager, if you found this appealing, you can. There's my phone number. I tell people to call me. I'm a personable person. I don't run. I just, hey, you have a question, call me. Well, text me first, because I may not know the number. I may be like, who is this calling me for whatever? All right, so text me first. Let me know where we know each other from, and the steps to becoming a stakeholder. We'll get all the paperwork to you. And then once your investment is made, Brittany or Tiff will get out your contemporaneous, which is a cool word, for write-off paper. I mean, I'm like, wow, who came up with that? It must be Greek or something. And we would be more than happy to have you on. And when you become a Best Date Night, you get a Best Date Night hat, okay? And, oh man, I don't have it. Best Date Night mug too. Well, you saw the picture. All right. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm super encouraged. I can't wait to answer any questions you may have, and would truly love to have you guys as our investors and help us get this thing going.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, James. Absolutely wonderful presentation. I love what you're doing with 1921 Incubator, and I am excited to see all of the talent over the next few years that will come out of the incubator. It's really, really interesting. It is it's exciting. It's really, really exciting.
Oh man, thank you.
So let's chat a little bit.
Sure.
We got a couple of questions in the Q&A, but I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
First of all, I want to talk about, and you talked a little bit about this in all the partnerships that can take place with, like using Best Night Out as an example. And for those of you who are going to say, I know, because I know how y'all get, right? Because we all think alike. I've already made the introduction to James and Pastor Cal. with Marriage Ain't for Punks. So I've already done that. That's another great partnership, James, that I hope you
Okay.
guys are able to connect. It's an app for married people, right?
Mhm.
Date night, best date night is a perfect plug and play to that,
I
right?
love it. I love it.
I also already made the introduction for you and Anthony Edwards at Eat Okra.
Okay.
Eat Okra is a directory. It's an app, but it's a directory of Black-owned restaurants across the
Oh,
country.
yes, I remember we talked about yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
I've made that introduction. Again, what better place than to go eat, right? And is to
Right.
check out the best new or tried and true Black-owned restaurant in
Yeah.
the cities that you are going to be launching in over
Mm-hmm.
time. So really, really excited about what you guys are doing. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the other apps. We're talking about the incubator as a whole here
Mm-hmm.
tonight, and that opportunity was there for investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
271 stakeholder
Are
slots
left.
available, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
$500 minimum.
Yep.
On best date night, there are 1,000
Mm-hmm.
that are available. And I know we've got tabled coming
Mm-hmm.
down the
Yep.
pike, right? And I think about my brain is already thinking about all the people I can connect you with for that, right? Because
Wow.
some really cool people that are in that space. I know an amazing woman who has created a community of Black women that love outdoor spaces. She's got over
Oh,
200,000 people in her group.
oh
That would
my
be a great
gosh.
connection. So I'm gonna make that one too.
Yeah, we can add their products to the table so that people can buy them all over the world. Oh my gosh. Okay, wow. Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Good.
wow is right. So amazing things, and my brain is just reeling with areas of collaboration for some of the people that we've been blessed to meet here
Mhm.
via the 10K project. I want to talk a little bit about the Best Date Night app a little bit.
Okay.
So $99 monthly subscription,
Mhm.
right? For that, you get 2 dates
Two
per
dates
month.
per month. Yep.
First of all, I'm not even going to ask how you're pulling that off with all your arrangements, right? But that is affordable, right?
Yes.
Reasonable, affordable. I think of all different income levels being able to pull that off,
Exactly. Yes.
right? So you don't have to be rich to go out on a date and fall in love again, right? And
That's
stay in
right.
love, right? You
That's
you
right.
don't have to be. And so it's something reasonably that people can save for.
Hmm.
And so I love that you've made this price point. When you first told me about it, I thought he can say this like $500 a night. These dates are going to be so elaborate, but they're not. It's meant to foster the quality time that relationships deserve, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that you made it affordable. Um,
And let me
tell
interject real quick.
Yeah,
Let me interject
absolutely.
because some of the date nights are movie date nights, right? We also have pottery date nights. We're doing. No one is doing this. I'm gonna share this now. If you do it, I know I'll find out where you are. But we're doing this date night in a round. All right, where it's 1 hour you do one date night, and then boom, you go to the next space and you're doing another date night, and then boom, you're doing another date night, all in one night. You're doing
Wow.
3 different date nights for $99. But we also offer, we work with restaurants where, because we understand a lot of our date nights are group date nights, but every once in a while, hey, we want to go to dinner by ourselves or we want to massage. So we work with a number of hotels and restaurants that you get, once we put it up there, like Gibson Steakhouse, very popular restaurant here in Chicago. And you could get dinner for two at Gibson's and you have a $250 credit.
Wow.
So you can go there, get and eat steak, and it's all you do is you walk in, hi, my name, Tawana plus one and whatever, and they'll sit you at your table and it's already preset. You have $250 to spend. So not only do you get a great date night, but you can get date nights that's the price of 2 months, 2.5 months. And we're able to do that because when I did my interview on Daytime Chicago, the reason I said Gibson's because the chef at Gibson's reached out to me on LinkedIn. Okay. The producer who got me on got a text from Zany's Comedy Club and said, give this guy my number. So
I mean,
businesses,
absolutely. Everybody's gonna see how this is gonna be great for them, right? Not
yeah,
only does it um provide jobs in the community, right?
yep,
But it keeps the businesses that are tried and true in our communities able to stay open,
yes,
right? Because that they'll have this partnership where they'll be able to have the specials and do things extra special, right? If you're a
that's right.
best date night couple, I could see them kind of rolling out the red carpet for you even,
That's
right?
right.
making
Yeah.
you feel exceptionally special.
Yeah.
It's endless. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, really is. It's endless.
And
And I was
you're gonna share on social media eating at Gibson's. So Gibson's
absolutely.
gets tagged, best date night gets tagged, hashtag love, whatever. So
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
companies want that. So didn't
Yeah.
mean to cut you up, but yeah, you're
No,
right.
and your projections, I mean, I love that when you just talk about just the Chicago launch, your projections don't even account for people traveling in,
Yeah,
right? So you don't account for the people, in Indianapolis coming in or in Gary coming in or in from Louisville coming in. Like you don't, and that's an easy one night, two
yep,
night little getaway, adding best date night on top of already a weekend getaway. It's just, I mean, it's endless. I mean, I
yeah.
love this. I love this. And it supports love too. How
Yeah.
can you not
How
love
can you
something
not? Yeah.
that supports love?
And you
Um,
get this cool hat. Come on now. I'm just
and
kidding.
you get the cool hat.
Well, only the only
Latrice,
investors, not the people.
Latrice also said that Outdoor Afro would be a good connection. So I'm actually a member of Outdoor Afro, Latrice, and Rue Map is the founder. Now, I don't have a Rue Map connection, but I'm sure I can get one. But that's actually a really, really good suggestion. I'll work on that and see if I can get you an introduction to them as well.
Awesome, awesome.
All right, let's get to some questions. Miss Jackie says, I like this idea. You mentioned that you're partnering with 1871. If I invest in 1921, will I get shares into your partnering company and or startups? Will you in the future expand 1921 into a franchise in the future?
So, great question, by the way. So, no, 1871 partnership is more media. 1871 is global. That partnership makes 1921 global. So we just more so get access to some of their VCs. I'm just looking for the 18 that press release. All right. So
Right.
that's pretty much what that is. Because once we become global, we have plans to the next question is we're launching 1921s all over the world because we're trying to launch 350 tech startups. Right.
Right.
So our first, not to mention our business model of changing communities. So my main thing, is changing communities. When you look at the landscape of cities, especially in Chicago, Walmart is leaving the community. Target has left several communities in Chicago, mostly on the south and west sides. Aldi grocery store, which was made for low income communities, have left. So we see companies leaving. Okay. They were all minimum wage jobs anyway. So imagine my thing is, as they're leaving, we're bringing in tech jobs. Okay. And the other component is we work with home builders to build homes. Because what happens when someone is making 25,000 a year off minimum wage and then they start making 55,000 a year, right? They're going to think they're rich. Okay? So we got financial planners that come in and say you're not rich, but you've been living off 25,000. We don't know how you've been doing it. So we're going to give you a $15,000 raise. You're going to live off 40,000. Right? No, you're going to live off 45,000 and we're going to show you how to save 10,000 so that within a year, guess what they become? Homeowners
Homeowners.
because they
Nice.
fix their credit. Now they're making living. They've been able to save money, and now they're homeowners. They have equity. They have assets. Right. So our first international city will be Jacmel, Haiti. Um, when I found out that after that earthquake that hit years ago, and that millions of dollars was raised, and they built 3 houses, I said, "Oh my God, these people are hurting." And I was like,
Mm.
God put it on my heart. They are hurting. I don't know why Haiti. I found out a couple that we know, their daughter that I've known since she was a kid, went to Haiti on a mission, fell in love. When she read about me, and I reached out to her like, hey, we want to go to Haiti. Is Port-au-Prince really as bad as it is? She's like, uh-huh. And she goes, but James, there's other cities in Haiti. I said, thank you, because that's my naivete. I'm only thinking of one city. So she mentioned Jacmel, Haiti. So she said, James, if you open a 1921 in Jacmel, Haiti, my husband and I will move back to Haiti and we will run it. So imagine we take 5 tech startups and we launch them in Haiti and we pay people the equivalent of whatever middle class is in there. Now, what does that do to that country, that city? So we're looking at Zimbabwe, okay, doing the same thing. So every startup we launch in every country or city, when you invest in 1920 Incubator, guess what? You get equity in those companies as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Right.
350 is
For
kind of
the
my
entire portfolio.
exactly. So you
Right.
imagine having a digital portfolio of 50 companies in your portfolio.
Mhm.
That's what I want to do. Those are things that a lot of times in our community, not everyone, because there's a lot of wealthy, but my mom and dad, you know what I mean? But not everyone. And especially when you don't have to mortgage your house to do it. So it's a unique, when I met with 1871, Betsy's the CEO, she was blown away. She was like, we want to partner with you whenever you're ready. And who said they're Haitian? All right, girl, come on. You're coming to Haiti with us. What is that? Phoebe Pierre?
Phoebe here.
You're coming to Haiti with us. I'm throwing that out there right now in the universe. I just said it. When we launch in Haiti, you're coming. Okay. I mean, you got to be an investor, but we can't just have people people coming. You're like, who are you? I'm Phoebe. Did you invest? No. I'm sorry, Phoebe. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm playing. But yeah, Jacqueline
I
Haiti
love it.
has been on my heart since I got everything going. And I don't know
Very
why.
nice.
I think because I'm a spiritual person, but our people are hurting, right? There are
You saw
people
a need.
hurting.
You saw a need where you can help. And so
Yeah,
that's, that's the service part of your spirit. So that's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. So
Bonnie said, maybe I missed it, but in what form does the community give back?
give back,
Give
right?
back. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to make sure I don't step on any toes. So living in Chicago is very political, okay? And okay, there are a lot of people who look like us, and you think that monies and intentions are going back to the community, and then you just don't see it going back to the community. Okay. Our plan with this is we're hiring basically a community liaison in each city that we launch. And their whole job is to meet with just the people who live in the community. No activists,
Mhm.
no whatever. So it's the business owners and the people who live there. And we will rent out a big space. We'll have food from Black vendors, food vendors, and everyone will get a sheet of paper and they will write down 10 things they want in their community. Because the goal is for people not to leave the community. See, one of my investors brought up this great point. I was saying it, but she's a writer for a magazine, and she said it better than I could. She said, what does it say in the community that the goal of success is leaving people behind? Because what do we say? We made it out the hood. I made it out the hood. That's what we say. Imagine in the Black community, that's considered being successful, is leaving people behind. So we've got to change that. So the goal is when we bring these jobs, the reason we're working with home builders is so that people don't get the job and then leave. The goal is you get the job and you stay. And we're going to help you stay by allowing you to either give you money to fix up your house because now you're making it, or when we come in with these home builders to buy your own home. We have to gentrify the community from the inside out. See, this is what's missing. I don't know why God put this on my heart. I've been listening to people. I'm like, y'all doing it wrong. I'm not saying it's not right, but it's not right. Okay. Here's how you do it. Okay. We have to bring the jobs here. So the goal is that they don't leave. All right. That they stay there. And so when we come in and we say, what do you want? It's kind of a closed door thing. It's kind of like when a basketball team is at this juncture and they've got to figure it out and they have a closed meeting, right? No coaches, nothing. It's the team. We've got to figure this out between us. Okay. That's what we have to do. We have to pull the community in and they have to figure it out because the cavalry is not coming. Okay.
Right.
So they have to figure it out. So we're going to ask them, what do you want? Now we're going to propose some things, right? Like the mathnasiums where our kids can go there. And, my sons used to tutor math because they were math kids, right? Or reading, whatever, or, we don't need another youth center. Okay. We just don't. All right. We need something that mom and dad are able to make good money on. And then we need things where we're able to help these kids learn. So it goes back to the community. Again, it's kind of a closed door. No political people, no activists. Obviously we'll have some pastors there because they're in the community. But for the most part, we need to hear from them, not from an activist saying we need this and they get $10 million and the community doesn't get anything.
Very good. Eddie said, thanks for bringing this to the fam, James. He said, wow, you're all up in my mind with this app. He said, my wife and I always have issues deciding where to go, what to do on date night. Question one, so if we can leave this up for a moment, Talisha. Okay. Question one, will the app service multiple couples in terms of a group going somewhere together? And if not, has it been considered for the future phases?
so all the date nights are group date nights. All right. So that's how we're able to keep our costs down. All right. So when you go to movie theater, it's not just you guys in the movie theater, right? It's a whole bunch of people from all over the place. But when you go to
So in Eddie's situation, if Eddie has two other couples and they want to go out, the six of them want to go out together.
oh,
Then
absolutely.
they all select the same date
They
night
all
on
select
the
the same date night. Yep. So the key is so every month, this is why we're raising the capital to add more date nights. But every month, if you're a member, you're going to get a newsletter. Hey, upcoming date nights coming up. So Eddie would be like, hey guys, I'm downloading the app. So Eddie will go on there and say, hey man, they got, he may not like this, but they got a ghost date night. That's where we play the movie Ghost and y'all making pottery together, right? Eddie may be like, let's do it. All right. So he's going to let his friends know, go to the app and pick the ghost date night so we can all go. So it's almost like a concert ticket, right? Concert, like when, hey man, we're going to be in section whatever, right? So if somebody isn't going to buy all the tickets, they'll tell them which section they're in. It's the exact same way with the app, is that if you want to go with friends, who, if Eddie's the point person, Eddie goes on there, he's letting all the brothers know, hey, here's what we're doing this month. Okay.
Can Eddie buy all 6 tickets to make sure they all get in?
It's only one subscription per couple.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if Eddie rolling like that, it sounds like he is.
Right.
Eddie
Because
can
you're
buy
downloading the app first and you're paying monthly. That's right. Right. So we all, I follow. Yeah. So Eddie, you would be coordinating if everybody decides to use one of their date nights for that month to do it together with friends, then you would be kind of coordinating how that works. Yeah. Perfect.
Now Eddie can buy, 20 memberships. I think Eddie sounds like he's rolling, so we can.
Question number 2 Eddie had is, will there be options to choose from the same type of date night proposal? I think you kind of answered that. Yeah, I think you answered that second one kind of in your answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We did? Okay, good. I just want to make sure it's okay, good. He said
perfect. Bernard has a question. Bernard's question is, since the launch of 1921, is the company carrying a lot of debt?
No. So here's what's really cool. Since that gentleman invested that $100K for his own 1%, 1921 is valued at over $10 million now. So it's a $10 million company.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I want to go over the details again, just to make sure everybody's clear.
Sure.
Kind of 2 investments in one here tonight, right?
Or so just one. If you invest in one, you're already set.
So that's a good point. Yeah. So you've got the 1921 Incubator, Coworking and Incubator, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the parent company.
Right, exactly.
Right? And so that investment is $500. You get an equity stake in all of the tech startups that come through 1921.
Yeah, through every 1921. So whether we're in Chicago.
Every 1921 around the world.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. I like that, around the world.
Kind of building that 1921 portfolio.
Yes.
And as a stakeholder in the parent company, you get a piece of all of the success, right?
Exactly.
And then each tech rollout also has an individual stakeholder opportunity, right?
Yes.
And so the first one that they're launching is Best Date Night. And so there's an opportunity there as well. 1,000 slots at $250 is the minimum. You could always buy multiple stakeholder slots. Same thing with 1921. 500 is the minimum, but you can get multiple. There are 271 slots left at that $500 a piece. And so this, really is, where you invest just in the parent company, you automatically will get a stake.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I can't think of a bad way to then invest in all the small ones.
I know, right?
Then you get a double. It's kind of like a double, right? You get 2 dividend checks. They're like, oh, you get a dividend. You get a dividend.
Right. It's funny because the lady who cleans our house, she's already invested in 1921, right?
Nice.
And so when we sent the newsletter out about Best Date Night, she go, "Hey James, all right, let me get my money together." I'm like, "Georgia, you already invested. Well, shoot, I may want to invest some more." I'm like, "Girl, go ahead, knock yourself out. All right, just be here Tuesday. All right,
Right. Well, she got to get that investment money.
I know, right? Yeah, she got to get that money.
Georgia ain't playing with you.
Georgia ain't playing, but she's the best. She's the best.
You paying for Georgia's future. She's
right.
Georgia got the master plan.
I know, right? I know. It's so fun. Oh my God, that's so funny.
No, this
so
you can. Absolutely wonderful. And I love that you got 10 in the pipeline, right? So you talked about 3 others today. But you got more in the pipeline, and then plans to already launch in different parts of the country. It feels like you've thought of everything, even talking about your partnerships, both official and kind of unofficial, and even having, businesses come to you. I could see large franchises wanting to do deals with Best Night Out, right? So it's not just the pizza shop, right, in Chicago, because there's a space for them here too. But it's the big restaurant chains, the big hotel chains, right? Because some of the best date nights are getting away from the kids and spending the whole night out, right? And so the corporations, you're absolutely right, right? This I see the potential of this to be something really, really big. And I love that there's no one already doing it. There are a lot of different, like you said, ideas. There's a lot of, like, I even have, like, I've got some company where I bought a book, right? Things you can do, right? To kind of, and then there's another company where you get a box, right? But no one's doing the, let me coordinate the date for you. And so I love that you took it to that next level, and you have entered a space where you're the first. We've heard this before though, fam, right? And so I'm gonna step on my soapbox for a second. We've heard about Black-owned companies being the first in a space. And then we also hear that because they didn't get the money they needed to be funded properly, that somebody else comes, because once, right, James out there on WGN, somebody with a whole lot of money, right, is building second best date night out, right? And so, right. And so if they got the uncles and the aunties, they got all the money and it's getting funded, right, millions of dollars, right? And they may have better connections from a media standpoint. The world could hear about them first. And so we've got to make sure that's the reason we're here, right? We want to make sure that James gets his slots filled, right? Gets the extra finances that he needs, so that this thing can start to become a household name, starting in Chicago and then blossoming everywhere else. That's the risk. But once you start getting out there and getting a little fame behind you too, somebody else who also codes can come and steal everything. And so
I'll share something
go ahead,
with you.
absolutely.
In 2010, I looked at, in social media, Facebook, you couldn't video chat. In 2010, me and some developers developed a company called, I can't remember, oh man, I can't remember the name of it. Oh my God. But it was the first social networking site with built-in video chat. I'll send you the pictures. We did a test on an HTC Evo phone, which they don't even make anymore. Wow. And we called it Group Mobile Video Chat in 2010. This was before cameras were fully calibrated. We had a large investor who put money in, and he ended up backing out. Shortly after that, Skype came out. Shortly after that, Facebook partnered with Skype to offer video chat because Bill Gates put money in it. When we did our beta of that site, we noticed, because you can tell where people are logging on, they were logging on from a city called Palo Alto, which is where Facebook was located. So it's very, very true. We are very innovative. And this has happened to us in the past, where in the early 1900s, where we've had ideas and those ideas were stolen. Now they're just like, thank you. And because they already have the money. So we had a large Black investor and he ended up backing out. But I said, my friend tells me every time there's a group mobile video chat commercial, he sends it to me and says, James, he goes, you were way ahead of your time. And I said, you know what, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. I'm not bitter. But when you just said that, I thought about that what if you had launched that?
And James, we hear that story all the time. I can rattle off about 5 right now, founders that have told us that same story. So it's not even a new story, right? So we understand the assignment, right? which is why we do what we do, right? I mean, obviously we're investors, so
Sure.
we've got to see the potential ROI in a deal, right? Where this is not charity we're doing here.
Absolutely, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
these people got something better to do on a Tuesday night, right?
Yeah.
Than
And I'm
this
grateful.
is
And
about
I'm
building
grateful.
wealth, right? This is
Right.
about intentionally putting your time and energy, effort into building something bigger than you for that next generation. And
Yeah.
so we understand the assignment though, which is why we are all intentionally dedicated to building our portfolios with as many Black founders as we possibly can, in addition to others, right?
Yeah.
Because we know the greatness that exists here.
Yeah.
We
And I
understand.
got 350 for you.
Listen, now I love it. I love it. So this is wonderful. Looks like we got one more question.
Mhm.
Latrice says, would you be willing to partner with other incubators who aren't 1921? The reason I ask because one just opened in Kansas City 2 weeks ago.
So incubators are different. All right. Some incubators, they're just there to provide space and help. All right. Now, the once we kind of get through these first 10, we will open what's called an application process. All right. And that's where we would go to other incubators and say, hey, which is great to partner with them because they're already working with the startups. They would then come to us and we would then provide the seed funding for them. So they would have to come through 1921 because I got to make sure my investors get their ROI, right? So we could partner, but there would be an understanding. First of all, we'd have to find out what exactly do they do in their incubator, right? Some are just art incubators, right? They just create a space for people to, do their art. So we wouldn't really partner with them, right? But anything tech and manufacturing, as a matter of fact, MHub, which is one of the largest manufacturing incubators in the Midwest, I know Haven, he founded it. We're actually, because we're adding a manufacturing component, we're going to be partnering with MHub so that all of our people who have a manufacturing idea, you may have an idea for a ice cream scoop. I don't know, but if it's viable and it'll create jobs in the company, we're going to invest in it. But we can partner with MHub to get all the prototypes and get started right there before we buy the space. So the one thing about 1921 is we own the spaces, right? So I own the building 1921 is in. So when we do manufacturing, we're going to own the building where we do the manufacturing. So those 3D printers will be in that. We own all of that. Okay. So when we launch a tech startup in Jacmel, Haiti, we own the building. See, the thing with a lot of people have, they like the idea of Black Wall Street, but they don't have the spirit of Black Wall Street.
Mm.
Okay. I went down there. I literally just walked, I put my hands on the ground because I wanted to hear from my ancestors. I wanted to hear, I wanted to feel that, if that makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
And I've talked to so many people, oh yeah, we like Black Wall Street. And I'm like, you're not like Black Wall Street. There's a part of Chicago, and I love Chicago, but there's a part they call it Black Wall Street, but nobody owns the buildings. And I said, that means that if they decide, yeah, we're going to get rid of this, tear it down, put it in the condos, there is no more Black Wall Street. The key to Black Wall Street was that they owned it.
Yeah, it was theirs.
You see what I'm saying?
Which is
And
what
that's
made them the threat.
exactly.
That was the thing that made, outside of that, they were no threat. They were
Yeah.
just like every other city, every other town, every other
Yeah.
whatever. The fact that they owned it made them the threat.
Yeah. And I'll share this with you. I've only shared this with a few of my investors. One of my long-term goals is to, and I'm looking at some land here in Chicago. It's about 460 acres. It's right on the lakefront. It's for sale. Our governor is about to buy half of it for some quantum thing, which is not going to bring any Black jobs. So we're looking at buying the other half. And my goal is to rebuild Black Wall Street in 2025. High-rise condos. We're going to rebuild the Stratford Hotel, which was named after one of the founders of that. His niece, his granddaughter niece lives in Chicago. I have her number. Of the Stratford, the guy who literally helped found Black Wall Street. And the concept is taking a little bit of Chicago, Dubai, Paris into this area about the size of the original Black Wall Street, except it's homes, condos, and it's like you wouldn't believe. So God put that on my heart, and I'm like, let's run with it. You got to make it happen, G. That's what I call him, G. And I said, we just got that relationship. And I said, you got to make it happen. And boom, there's that land. So, but my goal is to build these Black Wall Streets in different cities, right? To go back to different cities. real quick, when I spoke, I was invited to speak at the 100-year anniversary of Black Wall Street because we're the only tech incubator named to honor Black Wall Street with the 1921. So they invited me to come and speak. My parents came up from Texas, me and dad tuxedoed out. I'm like, Dad, I'm not getting an award. I'm just sharing a few words. He goes, I don't care, you my son. I'm coming up there, So, but after I spoke, uh, the late Sheila Jackson Lee
Mhm.
approached me and her assistant and said, would you consider opening a 1921 in Houston? City officials in Tulsa talked to me after I spoke and said, we'd love for you to come back down. So I flew back down to Tulsa about 3 weeks later and met with city officials because they want me to build a 1921 in Tulsa. So talk about full circle. So they took me around. I mean, they gave me like, hey, we want you to come down. They took me all over the city of Tulsa to find a spot to launch a 1921 in Tulsa. And I mean, I wept. I just was like, wow, because that spirit of our ancestors is there.
Yeah.
And
I've got one request
mhm,
before we get to this last question. When you get ready to buy the 400 plus acres,
mhm.
that you take some time and have some of that be the money that you need for that raised through investment crowdfunding, and that
Okay,
you come to there's a Black owned investment crowdfunding portal called Secure
okay,
Living. They
okay.
handle all real estate deals.
Oh, okay.
That you allow them to manage the campaign, and that you come back and allow this 10K project community to invest. I love I love that vision. I think those are all the right ingredients, right,
Hmm,
for
hmm.
generational wealth building.
Yes,
And so um
I will do that.
we would love to be a part of that journey with you. And again, there's the Black owned portal, Secure Living,
Mhm.
that all of their opportunities are real estate opportunities. And
Okay.
so, they can walk you through that process and help you be successful as well. So, but this is when you erect something that you just described, something like that you just described, you almost have to bring the everyday person with you, right?
Yeah.
To make the most impact, right? Because
Yes.
those are the lives that will be changed by something like this.
Yes.
And so I absolutely love it. But that's my only request, is that don't forget about us little guys when you get ready to do these big things.
I well, I am still a little guy, just so you know. My accountant tells me, hey man, you a millionaire, bro. You worth whatever. I'm like, nah, man. I'm still. If you were to see my parents, you wouldn't even think they were millionaires. I mean, they are very humble. They give. They're philanthropic. When I left the software company, they were like, "What are you doing?" Only for me to find out at their 50th anniversary that they've been philanthropic for years. Me and my brother didn't even know. Well, we were rich. Me and my brother were cracking up.
Because y'all are not rich, they are.
We were rich. I know. It was a true Huxtable moment. Okay. And me and my wife had our Huxtable moment with our kids. It was hilarious.
I
So it's
love
just generational. But that's what, the fact that my parents have left something, me and my brothers, and
yeah.
we're in a position now where I've made my children stakeholder. I have a lot of stakeholders who uh have they've put in, like, let's say, they bought 5 of them, and 2 is in a daughter's name, or 1 is in a
That's
daughter's
what I
name,
was thinking as well.
and
Yeah,
then
I was
1 is in
thinking
a
the same
son's name.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they have a bank account, then and I think you have to be 16. I got to check the legal things on that. I think you got to be 16 to be able to invest, because it'll be
Okay.
in their name. So I think it's 16.
Yeah, you want to verify that, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, when this community starts emailing, reaching out,
yeah,
they're going to have that question, because they are
yeah,
thinking about, right,
yeah,
the generation. So
yeah. I
that's
think it's 16, but each state may be different. I don't know.
right.
Um, but I'd have to find. So wherever you are, I'd have to find out. I mean, technically, it'd be done in the state of Illinois, the investor agreement. So it'd be,
Right.
so
So it'll be whatever
it'll be whatever
whatever
the Illinois
state
is. Yeah, and
government.
I
Yeah.
believe it's 16, and they have to
Very
have a
good.
checking account, because the way the dividends are paid out is through ACH. So
Okay.
it'll just, every after, each startup, after their fiscal year, right, when we do our taxes for that startup, the dividends that go to the investors is direct deposit, ACH. So
Okay.
you'll get a newsletter, and then you'll be like, oh wow, we got $62,000 in the bank. Where are we going? Well, first we go to the bank. All right. I mean, it's already there. First, we're going to our financial
Love
planner.
it.
Then after we do all that, now we're going to Fiji,
Right.
right?
Where
Or
you
we're going
going?
to South
Right.
Africa. All right. So
Lisa said, she acknowledges that she saw the list of places where you want to launch in other cities. What's phase two to that? Because I noticed some really big cities that weren't on you. Like you didn't have Miami on the list, but you had
yeah,
Orlando and Tampa. So I thought that was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Lisa's saying, what about Cleveland? I mean, at some point, I imagine we're going to see you in every
Yeah,
state,
every state.
right?
Yeah, every state. So there's certain places like, we try to look at the climate of the city and the vibe of the city. And Miami's cool, but Miami's like, we're looking for areas where it's mostly concentrated, like Orlando, concentrated. Tampa is concentrated in one
Okay.
in one area. Like we probably won't even go to New York. It's just it's too big right now. I'll sell it and let Match.com figure that out, right? We'll be making enough without even going to LA. See, in LA, everything is spread out. See, like we're following Uber's platform kind of thing, right? Uber launched first in highly concentrated cities first.
Mm,
Okay. So they didn't go to Des Moines first, right?
got you.
And so that's where we're going, to cities that are highly concentrated. Texas just makes sense because again, all cities are right next to each other for the most part. But a city like Cleveland, absolutely. A city like Cincinnati, absolutely. Like we could easily go to Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm not familiar with Toledo that much, but we could, the major cities we could because there's sports teams there,
But you did,
right?
yeah. You got Cleveland, you got Cincinnati, you got Columbus. Yeah, that's
Columbus, yeah.
right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So larger cities or heavily like a Miami. We may not do a Miami. Just the
Okay.
vibe is just completely different. Not that there aren't couples in Miami, but it's a hookup city. And kind of thing. Like I'm just saying, I got friends that go there. They're not going there for any other reason. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, bro, you keep that over there, okay? Don't tell my wife we're friends because I don't want to think we're going. I am never going to Miami. you know but anyway, so the idea is to launch in these cities that normally that would give us this high concentration of married
Got it.
couples and
Okay.
couples. So, and again, and I tell everyone, our goal, our exit strategy is to sell the companies because my vision is much bigger. I need billions to build these cities, the
Right.
infrastructure, the
Right.
streets, the water. These are going to be standalone cities that people are going to come visit. I need billions of dollars for that.
Mhm.
So I get people like, oh man, you sell it to the, like, bro, ain't no white man building a city for black people. No one is building Black Wall Streets. They're not.
Yeah.
I saw a guy on TikTok that said, we don't own communities, we own neighborhoods. And he listed 3 things that a community needs. And I said, I got you. I saved this video because I want to know who he is. So that
Mm-hmm.
when we go through your portal, all right, when we go through that portal and we're going to open it up, obviously I'm not going to open it up for a whole bunch of people. All right. So, but I'm going to open it up so that, when each Black Wall Street, because there's ownership. See, when you don't have ownership in something, you don't really care about it. Right. That's why kids can walk in their neighborhood and throw a flaming house bag on the ground.
Right.
They don't,
Right.
because they don't feel like that's theirs.
Right.
Right. But when you build something, this is one of the reasons why when we put a tech startup in the company or in the community and we let grandma become an investor, right? And she explains to those kids. So when another kid is walking, he throws something, hey man, my grandma is an investor in that company. That
Mm-hmm.
kid's gonna be like, what's an investor? What that means is now we're changing the language, right?
Absolutely.
And so we need people, and you just validated why I need to go through your portal. We need people to feel like this is theirs because when it's yours, you take care of it.
You
And
take
when somebody's not taking care of it, you'll call them out on it so that they'll either be like, wow, my bad. You know what? You're right, man. So when they come in and say, hey, man, this is black owned, all of this, that street, that light post, that condo building, that office building, all right, man, don't come down here and spit your gum out or do this or walk through this thing smoking marijuana and all this other mess. This is ours, okay? We don't have any of that, and that's why people do what they do. But when you have people who have, I got to write that down. You just validated why. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Go through. This
Very
is why
welcome.
I love
You're
talking.
very welcome.
Go
Yeah,
through
the
portal.
the everyday person looking for opportunity has been waiting for you,
Wow.
right? We've been
You're
waiting for you.
gonna make
And
me
we're
cry,
not
girl.
and service doesn't always cater to the downtrodden, right?
Yeah,
We're
right.
middle class, everyday people, and we got some bread. right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
right? And
And you don't
so,
even need a lot of bread. You don't even need a whole loaf.
so don't forget about us, right?
Right. Right.
So, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have been of service pretty much my whole life, but
Mhm.
I think what we forget sometimes is being of service doesn't always mean you only cater to the downtrodden.
Exactly.
And so we need people to not forget about us
Yeah.
when we talk about building wealth.
Yeah.
So, and Lisa said, yes, we've been waiting for this opportunity.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm about to get emotional, but yeah, that's really, really why. And it goes back to when I was 18 and I thought everybody grew up like I did. I thought everybody had, um, you know, the same thing. And what it was, I'm 18, we're walking up a popular street and I see these little kids, no more than 8 or 9, carrying milk crates, asking if they can shine people's shoes.
Mm.
And this kid came up, my college roommates were with me, and they're from Detroit. They were like, and they knew I was from Germany, and this kid said, "Can I shine your shoes?" And I said, "Can you what?" He said, "Shine your shoes." And you can ask my friend Dale; he'll tell you. I said, "Where are your mom and dad?" It's 11 o'clock at night.
And they were young. I
Yeah,
already know. Yeah.
and I said, "Where's your parents?" And so my friend, they're cracking my college room. They're cracking up, right? They're from Detroit. They're like, "This dude." They're like, and I'm like, "Do you know what time?" I'm literally trying to talk to this kid like, "You need to be at home." And the kid is like, "Man, forget you." And then he went over to this group of white guys. "Hey, can I shine your shoes?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can shine my shoe." And it bothered me. I couldn't even have fun that night.
Right.
I
Right.
went home back to my dorm room. I called my mom and dad. They were still in Germany, and I bawled my eyes out. I
Yeah.
cried and cried. I said, "How can this be? Why? How can this be? Where were his parents?" And my mom and dad were like, "Son, you went to a big city, and
You're gonna see a whole
you're
lot
gonna
more
see a
than
lot,
that.
yeah, that you've never
And I
seen."
bet
So
you have. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so I was 18. I'm 55 now, and
Right.
I still remember. I still get emotional, still thinking about that, decades ago. So that has been what has pushed me. So when you say you've been waiting for me, God has literally led me to this point, and I've been appealing, you know, to Black investors because I'm like, this is literally for us. It's not like you have to mortgage your house. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's more so this, it's for and and that's why I say, listen, just have a heart for the community. If I make you $1 million, have a heart for the community. That's all I ask. I already know some people may be like, yeah. I'm about to buy a boat, but I'm hoping to get enough people to really have a heart for the community
You
so
will.
that
You will.
we can
You
change
will.
this stuff.
You absolutely will. So for those watching the replay and maybe not in front of a screen, when you get this, if you're interested, you are sending an email to Brittany at 1921. So that's 1921, 1921 coworking.com. Brittany, BRITTANY at 1921 coworking.com.
You can give my cell number if you want.
We'll put this in
Okay,
the
okay,
newsletter. Yeah, we'll
okay,
put this
good.
in the newsletter. They'll have that. We can add this if you don't mind the cell.
Yeah,
We can look at this to get the number from the
yeah.
presentation
Yeah.
and put that in there as well. Talisha has also clipped the WBEZ interview, so
Oh,
she can add
perfect.
that as
Okay.
well so people can see that.
Yeah.
But this has been a wonderful evening, James. Thank you so
Oh, thank
much.
you.
My final words really are, this is one I think we should be telling our friends about, y'all, right? I mean, this is one we should be telling our friends about. So when you get the replay in the newsletter, forward it over to somebody so they can see it. Post the replay so they can see it. There's only, 271 slots. Well, 269 because Lisa and Tracy said they already sent an email.
Oh,
So
really? Okay, I'll make sure Brittany reaches out.
and they may get multiple slots. So
Right.
they
Okay,
said
I'll
they've
make sure.
already sent Brittany their email. They're not playing with y'all tonight.
Oh man.
And so, so just know
I
that,
will
these opportunities are not forever and they're not
yeah,
unlimited, right? So
right.
there's some limitations to it. If you're interested, we put the information there where you can reach out to James and his team. Um, And so and Latrice said, yep, Brittany, we're watching her inbox ding. So Edward said, yep, be emailing too.
Is
So
that
yeah.
right?
So that's absolutely wonderful. I'm glad you guys like this one. I'm glad you find some interest in this one. We'll continue to bring amazing Black founders to this community because there are so many of them out there. There are so many amazing Black founders doing wonderful, wonderful things. And I'm looking for each and every one of them so that you guys can be exposed to them.
Yeah.
So James,
Like I
what's your
said, we got
final
three.
words for the
We got
community?
350. We bring it. All
You
right.
getting ready? That's right. You get ready to bring 350, right?
About
And you got people to
350. Yeah.
leave. We expecting you to come right. Come on, like
We
we're
will
gonna have a
come. We will
revolving
come
door.
here first. We're
I
not.
love,
I'm not even going anywhere else. You know,
I
if I
love it. I
listen,
love
if
it. I
I
love
can
it.
get our people in the community to get multiple understanding portfolio and financial portfolio and understanding when you wake up, you know, that dividend part is what's important is that
That
it's coming.
mailbox money he
That
talking about
mailbox
right
money.
there.
That's right.
Mailbox money.
Where you just got to wake up. Just the Lord has to just wake you up, and boom, But the beauty of again that dividend can be passed on to the next generation. You can't sell the dividend unless we sell the company, but you can't sell the dividend. So once something happens, it just keeps going as long as that company is in business. And so when I read that stat that said generational wealth lasts 1 to 2 years, and those were white families, they
1 to 2 generations, yeah.
that they
Yeah,
studied.
we
Yeah.
read a book. We did a book club a few years ago, and we read
Okay.
a book that talked about that.
Wow.
Three generations by the max, but most
Yeah.
of the time by the third generation, the other two have wasted all the darn
I've
money.
wasted all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything over 2 is almost an anomaly. It's
Yeah.
almost like, whatever. And so that's my goal is that 20, 50, 100 years from now, as we continue to launch companies, you look at Facebook, been around 12 years. So imagine for 12 years, somebody, generational wealth,
Right.
those who have
Right.
equity in that company. So anyway, I'm sorry. I feel like
I know.
I'll talk all day.
Listen, same. This has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Anything else you want to say to the community before I let you go?
Thank you. I'm praying for the 10K project. Please pray for me because, the devil is a lie. There are a lot of things stopping sometimes, you know what I mean? And I just believe we're going to transform communities all over the world. And Phoebe, you're coming to Haiti, okay? You're coming to Jacmel with me. You're going to be our liaison,
The ambassador.
okay? Ambassador, all
The
right?
1921
All right.
ambassador.
That's right. Now we don't fly first class all the time, but we fly business class, okay, girl? All right, so you still go get some good food and leg room. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm encouraged. My phone number's there. Text me. I'm rarely sleep. I'm up working, all the time. And so
But you got to rest because you get what you just described to us is empire worthy, which means you got to get your rest, brother.
Yeah. No, you are right.
You
Sister,
got to rest. You got to take
you
care
are
of
right.
yourself.
You are right. You are right. I got my youngest just left. I can finally get a motorcycle, but I may pause on that. My wife said I had to wait. She said, "You ain't making me a single mom." I said, "Honey, that is so morbid, but okay." But you know what I mean? So, but you're right. I do need, there's a lot that God has put on my heart, and I'll leave you with this. Dick Gregory, when asked, and I got a chance to meet him. And I look back, he gave me this look when I told him what I wanted to do, as far as he just kind of gave me a look and then he just smiled, right? That was it. He passed. Years later, I see a video. It says he was asked, and I don't know the context. He says, when did that person ask, when did you know it was all a game? And he says, you don't. He says, if a man watches his hair grow, he'll go crazy. He said, you just look up and realize you have to go to the barber, right? In other words, you don't recognize the things that are going on. Sometimes you just look up and it's there. And he says, what's scary is when the universe picks you, okay? And you get the magic glasses. And he said, there's rules that come with these glasses. Rule number one, once you put them on, you can never take them off, okay? Rule number two, you see things as they are, not how they're supposed to be, okay? And rule number three, you can never make anyone wear the glasses. And I think back to when I met him and he kind of gave me this little, when I told him what I wanted to do, and then I find this interview, and I believe it was like, James, if that's where you are right now, the universe is picking you. Okay. And I think it was kind of those, so be ready.
Right.
Because once you get those on, you can't take them off.
Yeah.
He goes, but more importantly, you can't make anyone else wear them. And so my whole life has been, since whatever has been, for the past few years since I started this, has been dedicated to trying to not necessarily get people to put on the glasses, but if I can't get you to put the glasses on, then come with me. Okay. I'll make you rich. And then we can we can move the community forward. So I feel like I've been picked. I've been chosen for something. And this is what it is. This is going to be my life's work. And yeah, so that's it. The absolute last thing is Booker T. Washington. I shared this in my email with you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is for our community. We can be as separate as fingers for all things social, but as solid as the hand for all things in mutual progress. So it's okay that we're doing these things socially, right? But when it comes to moving us forward, we have to come together like this. So that's it. I'll leave that. But
Well,
it's
that
Booker
was
T. Washington. I
wonderful.
jacked it up, but
That was,
that's
and,
kind
and
of
I see it more like this, even, right? I see it more like this, coming together like
yeah.
this.
Oh, I
So
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even with this, we're kind of separate, right? You got to come
Understood.
together like this.
Come on, girl. There's two
Um,
things you gave me already. The portal
this
and
was a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us. I mean, we went a little long tonight, but y'all know we get to doing this, right? And it does what it's gonna do.
yeah.
And so thank y'all for hanging out with us the whole time. Peace and blessings. Do something kind for yourself, be kind to others, and know that we love you guys right here at the 10K Project. I would not rather be anywhere else. And James, you got us. We're in your corner.
I love it. And I got
Edward
y'all.
Edward said you family now.
Family,
So
hey, good. I love it. I love it. And trust me, I would love to eventually visit some of these. I like to eat. I'm a foodie. All right, except seafood. I can't eat seafood. I've tried. I can't. But anything meat and potatoes, I'll eat like a mug. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
we
But I
love
can't
it.
wait to get
We absolutely
everybody.
love it. And we cannot wait. Date night, right? We gonna
Yeah,
fly to Chicago for a date
come
night.
on, girl. You may not have to
Listen.
fly if things go well. You may not have to fly. We may already. So the reason we're going to a lot of Detroit, we have investors in Detroit and Wisconsin and
Nice,
Indianapolis. You know what I mean?
nice.
So not only are they close, but we have investors there. So I can't wait to get everybody in 1921 hat. And yeah, just can't wait. So
Wonderful.
thank you so
All
much.
right, brother. Thank you
I
so
don't even
much.
want to say bye, but thank you.
I know.
Okay.
Have a good night.
All right. I'll talk
Bye,
to everyone later.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Bye-bye. I can't find my